Hey guys, welcome back. So this is the POCO M3 Pro, and I don't know how POCO are actually doing this. If you compare the specs from this to the Redmi Note 10 5G, they're exactly the same. Now on the AliExpress store, the Xiaomi global store, you can pick this variant up for £146. This one is 6 gig of RAM, 128 storage, 5G. This is the black version, but they also do a 4 gig of RAM and 64 gig version, and that's only 129 quid. So it's like POCO competing against Xiaomi when they're really the same sort of company. So the only differences you'll see between this and the Redmi Note 10 5G is the actual design and build quality. Oh, the design. Lovely POCO yellow box like they normally do. But within here you do get some nice fancy stickers. Everything you need, nothing you don't, and you also get a silicone case and some manuals and stuff. The phone, MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G, 90Hz, 6.5 inch Full HD display, 5000 mAh battery, and 48 megapixel triple camera setup. And USB Type-C and fast charging block. We have 18 watt fast charging, just like the Redmi Note 10 5G. So let's take a closer look at this, see what we have. And wow, that is stunning. There is a yellow version on this, which on a video looks absolutely amazing. I'm sure in the flesh it will look stunning also. But yeah, here we go. A little smudge there. This is a plastic back. And look at that camera array, that looks really nice. 48 megapixel triple camera setup, 2 megapixel macro and 2 megapixel depth sensor. Yeah, that looks really smart. If you remember, the POCO M3 had a massive camera array there. So they've changed it somewhat here. It looks quite sporty, especially the yellow version. The yellow version looks really nice and sporty. So at the bottom, USB Type-C, loudspeaker, and a microphone cutout. Along the top, 3.5mm socket for your headphones, which is great, and an IR blaster there as well. Along the side here we have power button with an integrated fingerprint sensor and the volume rocker. Again, just like the Redmi Note 10 5G, that looks exactly the same power fingerprint sensor. I do like them integrated there. And for the SIM tray, you can have 2 nano SIMs, or you can have a nano SIM and a micro SD card, which is pretty cool. Expandable storage. So these are the two phones, exactly the same specs inside. Obviously different backs to them. Slightly more frosted than the back on here, both plastic. But you'll see that in terms of thickness and size and build, exactly the same. It's nuts, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. But if POCO want to do it, I know they've sold loads of these already, then they can do that. Look at that. Exactly the same, just branded differently. You know? I do prefer the look of the Redmi Note 10. That more frosted than what that is, but I do love that. Do love that on there. Okay, I'm going to turn this on and set it up. Okay, we are back. Here she is, the POCO M3 Pro. Android 11, MIUI 12 on top. Icons are slightly different on the POCO phone, so the camera icon looks slightly different. The rounded icons as well, but on the whole, pretty much similar to what we found on the Redmi Note 10 5G. 90Hz refresh rate, LCD panel as well. So viewing angles aren't, you know, the greatest, but they're okay. Okay, so on the POCO M3 Pro we have one speaker there at the bottom, firing down. And this is at full max. Let's go. Wow, that's a bit squealing. Yeah, I think the loudspeaker, although there's only one, sound quality is good for a phone at this price point. You're definitely getting a decent loudspeaker, plenty of loudness in there as well. So a closer look at the panel on the M3 Pro. It's 90 Hz refresh rate, it's adaptive, 1080p. This is playing back at 1080p, 60 frames per second on YouTube. There's smooth playback. And the quality of the screen is excellent for a phone at this price. So the cameras, there is a main 48 megapixel sensor. You can access that from there. And I'll show you this. So that's direct from the 48 megapixel sensor. If you don't use a 48 megapixel setting, it's just 12 megapixel. Decent quality, color accuracy is good as well. 1080p 30 frames per second on the rear for video. 1080p video on the rear, again 30 frames per second, and stabilization. Beautiful day today. This is my studio, a bit messy at the moment. But this is going to be exactly the same as what you'd find on the Redmi Note 10 5G. And it's looking decent for such an affordable smartphone. So I think that's decent video quality. There's also stabilization there as well, which is a bonus. Switch around to the front, it's an 8 megapixel sensor, and video on that can be shot at 1080p 30 as well with stabilization. So this is 1080p 30 frames per second on the POCO M3 Pro. This is an 8 megapixel sensor as well. Let's go back. So what do you think? I mean, it looks similar to what the Redmi Note 10 5G looked like as well. There's wrist stabilization in here. That's sort of comfortably where I'd hold it in terms of how close it is to the face. That is arm's length. It's looking decent for such a cheap smartphone. So this is a photo using the 8 megapixel selfie. Decent quality, slightly washed out in the face, a little bit greyish. So it could use a little bit more vibrancy there and saturation. The bokeh mode portrait has done a fantastic job there with edge detection, and overall good detail, very good. Portrait on the rear, show you that. There we go, that's portrait effect or mode on the rear. Edge detection, okay, it blurred the ear slightly there though, struggled with that bit, but not bad. Okay, so that was the first look at the POCO M3 Pro. Picks up fingerprints on the back. First impressions are very good. I mean, it's such an affordable device. It seems nippy as well. I've not noticed any sort of lag or anything like that. It's quite responsive to the touch, so that's good. We'll see over time whether that slows down or anything like that. But yeah, first impressions, very, very good. Really like the design. Looks very, very sporty. I mean, this is, you know, cheap as chips. Cheaper phones are definitely getting better. You don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on a smartphone anymore. It is absolutely crazy how POCO can can do this. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Please pop any comments down below. If you enjoy videos like this, unboxings and smartphone reviews, and do consider subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.